5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is Deducter bringing you Set 4 of KT vs STX Stage 3 Pro League Playoffs. We have Barracks versus Classic. In this game, Barracks is the Teal Zerg at the 12 o'clock position, and Classic is the, not Zerg, Barracks is the Teal Terran at the 12 o'clock, and Classic is the Purple Terran at the 6 o'clock. This is more or less a rematch of Day 1 game between these two players. It was on the same map. This is the Fortress, by the way. Quite a Terran favorite map with what with all the walls and whatnot on this particular map. Anyway, that game was not the cleanest game, I have to say. Barracks trying to use dropships early on, but consistently shut down by Classic with his Raves, and Barracks really was in quite some danger of losing the game. But as soon as Classic stopped contesting the air, or more or less stopped trying to chase down and destroy the dropships, Barracks started to take more and more of a lead using the dropship and his mobility advantage. He eventually took out way too much of Classic's economy, and that was that. So really, mobility is the key to Terran versus Terran in general, and I believe it will also be key on this map. In particular, since all the bases are surrounded by walls, they are very easy to drop, and drop units, especially tanks, can defend fairly easily too. So let's see whether Classic opts to go back to using Raves, or whether he decides to use dropship of his own, and similarly, what will Barracks do? Again, I still feel whatever player here, it looks like a factory going to come down here first. From both players, it looks like, since they both put down their refineries somewhat earlier. So this looks like a factory build, possibly factory into command center. Anyway, whoever holds the mobility advantage should probably win in this game, whether it's with more dropships or perhaps a combination of Wraiths and dropships. Some sort of air power. We shall see, though. Looks like neither player quite opting to scout yet. Classic looks like he is getting ready to scout. And perhaps Barracks will also send his SCV out. Yes, both players are scouting. So they will, this is cross-map positions. Whereas in Day 1, while one player was at the 6 o'clock and one was at the 3 o'clock, although I forget who was at what position. Looks like Factory going down here for Classic. I believe Factory is going down for Barracks, just looking at his, base now, but mini-map earlier. Looks like both players are going to scout in a sort of a symmetrical pattern here. Always neat to watch. It's not perfectly symmetrical, but close enough, I say. Close enough. Almost like some sort of starfish. All starfish have 5 arms, I think. Anyway, 2 Marines out here for Classic. He is going to try to stop whatever sort of potential scout that Barracks might send his way. It looks like he has achieved that. Barracks not going to try to sneak his SCV by. I'm not sure whether I agree with this decision. He probably should, I think he should be able to survive long enough to take a peek at the main base. I do not know what Barracks is doing. He's being somewhat indecisive here, or rather, this might be pretty clever by Barracks. He is going to sneak the SCV by. Somehow he figured those 2 Marines would chase him, and he's used this opportunity to sneak it by. He's going to see this command center building going to get taken out by this Vulture, but knowing the command center timing, I'm pretty sure Barracks knows that Classic has gone for the same build he has, namely Factory into command center. He also knows about the Vulture coming out, so he does have a blockade here in the front. Classic does not know what Barracks has gone for. Barracks may have in fact gone for some sort of 2-factory build, or even some sort of early Wraith pressure build. Interesting to know that Barracks there canceled what he was building from the Barracks Marine there. His tank gonna be able to ward away these units, but no! Barracks lifting his Barracks! What is he doing? That was just poor play there. There was no reason for him to lift that Barracks that early, and that SCV able to see the command center building, so Classic knows exactly what Barracks is gone for. Both players have gone for mirror builds, and Barracks, I just don't know why he did that. There was no good reason for him to lift the Barracks. The command center wasn't even done. At that point, okay, sure, the gig is up. flick the command center over, Classic would be able to spot it at that point, but I don't know. This is just kind of sloppy play by Barracks here. Always good to keep your opponent in the dark as much as possible. I mean, if you want the opponent to know what's going on, only the cleverest players can pull off some sort of trick like that. Show one thing while secretly doing something else. Best example, I think, is Luxury versus Lita in the MSL round of 8, possibly. I believe it was the round of 8. Way back when. That was the MSL Luxury 1. The match fixing Luxury there. Very clever build. He showed a Spire, but then canceled it and got Lurkers. And Lita was completely unprepared for it. He was very well positioned to defend a Mutalisk harass. When those Lurkers went into the front and Lita was frantically trying to build bunkers to hold off, he was just not able to do so, and that was GG. Brilliant maneuver, I have to say. On the other hand, in this particular game, looks like neither player has quite the same type of cleverness, I have to say. So this SEV coming out here by Barracks to scout a bit here. Trying to keep the SEV in front of his forces. I think that's useful, sort of as a scout in a screening unit. If there are siege tanks, losing SEV isn't a big deal. Both players have Barracks in the middle of the spot for them. Goliath's coming out here for Classic, so it looks like he is opting for more of a ground type army. He's actually got a decent number of units, similar number of units to Barracks here. So I think both players will be forced to siege up before long in the middle here. So there will be dropships out almost certainly for Classic. He has opted to go for the early dropships, whereas Barracks has not done so. So I think this is a good move by Classic here. Let's see what he can do with this. That supply depot there, just cleverly as a scouting building. If there's some sort of dropship coming from that angle, he would know about it. Sort of like how Protoss would often be able to put pylons in scouting locations. Both players not sieging up their tanks in the middle here. In Classic, looks like he is going to try to pick off this Barracks, but no! Barracks with a nice siege tank snipe there, sniping one of the tanks of Classic, and Classic will be forced to back off from the Barracks there. He'll probably be forced to siege up. Classic needs to be a bit careful here. Looks like he is going to lose his floating Barracks. I don't think that'll bother him too much. He has loaded up units in a dropship. This could be quite nice. He's loaded up Goliaths. It's probably 2 Goliaths and a tank, I would imagine. And this Barracks of Classic is going to go down. Classic sort of parking his dropship there in the western part of the map. Now he's moving it out. There is an SEV at a potential expansion location. I don't know whether Barracks would spot this. Barracks is pushing down with all his units to try to assault Classic's base. Classic only has 3 tanks. In fact, that's actually not too good for Classic. Okay, Classic has brought more reinforcement tanks over. So he's actually fine. He's got 5 tanks. That'll be plenty. Classic is also pulling off all sorts of SEVs to fight this back. He is going to lose a good number of SEVs to all those Goliaths here. But at the same time, he's dropping the main 4 Goliaths. However, there are 3 tanks already in position by Barracks to deal with this, and those Goliaths probably pick back up into the tank, into the dropship, but at least 2 of them went down. So it does appear that Barracks has taken somewhat of a lead here, killed a good number of SEVs, stopped this drop, and Classic thus far unable to exploit his early dropship advantage. He's got 2 dropships out now. Perhaps he will choose to go in for another drop. I don't know how good Barracks may have, and this dropship might get picked off. This dropship is going to get picked off. Barracks is going to be in a good position now after feel this game. In fact, he's even managed to save one of the Goliaths that he did this. And Classic back down to 1 dropship. He has managed to siege his forces up in the middle of the map and taken a bit of a revenge on that retreating siege tank there. However, Barracks, I feel, is going to have somewhat of an early lead now. Barracks is going to push forward with his tanks, driving Classic back over the center here again. Classic has massed up some more units, it looks like, and Barracks really taking advantage of this opportunity to expand again at that inside base there, inside 12 o'clock. This could work very well for Barracks. However, Classic is going to try to attack now. Classic does need to get something done. When the third base is going up, that's a good opportunity. However, I think Classic will be able to get something done. Barracks has nothing in his main to deal with these drops. He has an engineering bay that he just finished. He'll be able to put up turrets way too late, and he's not sending any units to go over it. And Classic really going to exploit this opportunity here. Barracks, he stopped one drop, and he thought no more could possibly be incoming. And this is going to be a disaster for Barracks. It looks like 2 tanks siege up. They should probably be siege up a bit more in the front. Fortunately, Barracks did react pretty well. Only a few SCVs going down there. So things are not that bad here, not that grim. That tank in the back is going to get taken out, it looks like. 2 more tanks coming up. So I think Barracks should be able to fend this off. No, Barracks losing another tank. Classic already inflicting significant casualties, not only on the SCVs, but on some of the reinforcing tanks here. Barracks does have his third base up and mining. That is his only saving grace at this moment. Classic is putting down another one of his own command centers. These tanks should finally clean out the drop here. And sending back the SCVs prematurely, so I have to say, that tank already with 7 kills now, getting free hits off on those SCVs. A massive push out in the middle here by Classic, going to clean up all of Barracks' forces. This is what I mean, mobility is key here. Barracks in trouble here now. He's lost all the units, it looks like, at the front, or he will very shortly. Now all the tanks have gone down, whereas Classic has a very nice army in the field. Barracks is desperately mobilizing the forces he's saying the main to clean out the drop to his to the front here. He has nothing to screen his base at the inside 12 o'clock. This is a golden opportunity. Classic has 2 dropships. Barracks has none. If he loads up units in those dropships, goes for a drop at the back and a simultaneous attack at the front, there is no hope, I think, for Barracks to recover. Classic is dropping here at the Natural with 3 tanks and 2 Goliaths, a potent force, and Barracks is bringing out units to try to deal with this. But on the mini-map, it looks like he's bringing all the units from the front back here just to deal with this. This is a golden opportunity. Why is Classic not advancing at the front? I don't know what he is doing. This drop is actually going to get cleaned up pretty easily. If Classic had combined this attack with a simultaneous drop at the front and that dropship barely surviving, he would be fine. Now he's pushing out. It's a bit late because Barracks can start moving his units over here to deal with it, and that's exactly what he's doing. Classic going to siege up here. I don't think Barracks is going to be too bothered. Looks like he is actually going to lift his command center and withdraw his SCVs there, so perhaps not as bad as I thought. But still, I felt if he attacked concurrently, Barracks will almost certainly suffer more casualties. As it stands, it looks like Barracks is opting to counterattack with his forces down here. He does have a control tower and a starport of his own. Perhaps he has 2 dropships, so it looks like he might be going for some sort of drop. Perhaps a revenge drop here, going to main of Classic. That could work out pretty well. Classic has taken this opportunity to build his third base, and he's mining from it, whereas Barracks, in some trouble here, he might have put down a command center there at the 3 o'clock, but again, he's not mining from the inside 12 o'clock. Things not looking too great here for Barracks, I have to say. Classic is doing quite well. Barracks needs to get something done with this drop. I think he might be elevatoring his units over. He's going to send a few units in first. And where are Classic's forces? He's opted to launch a counterattack. Both players perhaps deciding to trade bases here. There is a difference, however. Classic has no defenses in his base, whereas Barracks does. One of the dropships of Classic's going down. That second dropship barely surviving with his life already. Barracks will be forced to elevator. Classic will be forced to elevator with only 1 dropship here, and both players taking blows. That second dropship going down, this is an absolute disaster, I have to say, for Classic. Absolute disaster here. He's got nothing. He can use the elevator in his units. He's only got a few units left in Barracks' base. Barracks can use reinforcements to deal with this, whereas Classic, there you see, he was looking a bit desperate there. With the 2 dropships for Barracks still alive, going to be able to ferry in all the reinforcements he wants. Is a key difference here. As you can see, there are enough tanks going to be able to fight back this force of this drop. Okay, Classic has got another dropship that he finally brought over. Still, with only the 1, not quite able to send the forces over as quickly, I feel. He's only got 3 tanks here. 2 tanks again now in the main. Another dropship coming, possibly with some more tanks. Oh, Goliaths here. Still, not quite accomplishing that much. You can see these 3 Goliaths going to be able to clean up maybe 1 or 2 of these tanks. But I don't think it'll bother. And, oh, those tanks are actually quite damaged. Never mind. It looks like Classic is going to be able to inflict more damage than I thought. He's persisting with his elevator action. Barracks seems to have been distracted during this time. He wasn't really advancing his forces. Classic has nothing to defend his factory line. He only has some forces in reserve. If Barracks takes this opportunity to push out, which looks like he is trying to do, and get position over the factories, it will be GG. Drop incoming, along with a massive push on the ground. Barracks has all the advantage here. Classic has nothing. There are 5 or 6 tanks, and now Classic bringing back every single one of his units. It looks like that he had rallied to the front to deal with this. He is going to be able to siege up near his factories. He is going to lose the command center there, it looks like, in the natural, and Barracks, apparently not with the multitasking, able to clean up the drop here at his main. Still, it does appear that Barracks has more tanks than Classic does. Classic has 3 tanks and a dropship for Goliath. Barracks coming in with a counter drop of his own. KT players very pleased, clapping for them. This should surely clean up this annoying little force here. But no, it looks like Barracks is going to lose this battle. Oh, things are not so good for Barracks now. KT players clapping prematurely, I have to say. Barracks, okay, finally with reinforcements out, he should be able to clean this up. Classic has rallied more units there, it looks like, to the front, and Barracks might not be in such a great position. He doesn't seem to have many units left. What few units he has, he's positioned around his main base, and he's got nothing to protect his natural. He needs to send his units to the natural, but no, he's withdrawing his SCVs there back to the main, it looks like. So Classic, again, taking the initiative. Classic is up to 3 mining bases. He's putting down more factories, and if Barracks can't reestablish mining at his natural, he will be in desperate trouble here. He does have a base at the 3 o'clock that he's utilizing. That's good for him. Barracks is trying to push up here in the front. That's actually having a moderate amount of success here. He's managed to get some sort of position over the factories, but not complete control there. Drop again coming from Classic. This time a few Goliaths. There are many unsieged tanks there, so that should clean up the Goliaths without too much of an issue. It's a shame that Barracks doesn't have a solitary Goliath to try to snipe that dropship there. And Classic really has driven Barracks to the brink here. Barracks only has 1 card left to play, which is his army in the main base here of Classic. Actually, he's done a good amount of damage with that army. There are only 2 factories left there. And 1 paltry tank, which isn't a defense. It's not even really a bluff. Looks like Barracks is going to try to come back in this game with a massive attack here at the factory line. That could work out. Classic only has a few units left to defend. Barracks going to reinforce his forces, it looks like, with a drop. Better be careful here. Those dropships surviving. Barracks, actually, he's going to drop here right in front of the natural. Brilliant maneuver, I have to say, by Barracks. This is going to surround what few forces that Classic has left in his natural. They cannot possibly escape. This is actually much, much better than reinforcing at the front. And Classic only has the 1 dropship. Barracks having 4. Barracks with the clear mobility advantage here. He's probably ferried every last unit he had left in the base to do this. Brilliant attack here by the siege tanks, killing every SEV of the natural. And Classic's economy has just taken a severe blow. Classic is rallying what forces he has to counterattack at the front, moving very slowly on the ground, it appears, whereas Barracks has his tanks all over the base here of Classic, all of the natural. Every building here will go down, including the supply depots. That's actually going to be kind of bothersome. Well, not bothersome. That's actually could be decisive if Classic can't build more units in time to deal with this. Barracks going to use his reinforcements to be able to fend this off, and Classic not able to deal with this. Things are looking very bad here. Classic does have a few units there at the 3 o'clock, forcing Barracks to withdraw all his SCVs there, but Barracks does have his expansion at the inside 12 o'clock reestablished. He can just move his SCVs over there to mine. As it stands, I would have to give Barracks the advantage again. Classic does have 2 mining bases. He's rebuilt some of his factories. He needs to probably rebuild quite a few supply depots. But that attack at the natural was absolutely devastating. Barracks also +2 attack upgrade finished there. So I don't know. Things not looking too good for Classic. He should be able to hold out though. I feel. Oh, but those 3 dropships coming. This is what I mean. Mobility is key. And Classic is surely supply blocked. He's building supply depots desperately. Classic fighting hard here with the tanks staggered in a nice position. These tanks not really able to advance, but the dropships advancing with impunity. No anti-air. Massive number of drops coming. This is surely GG here for Classic. No chance for him to come back at this point, I feel. Okay, maybe he's going to be able to use a combination of SCVs and reinforcements to somehow fight off this attack, but look at all these tanks incoming. And he's losing even more of his economy. He's down to 2 mining bases, really. No mobility whatsoever. No chance to counterattack. And his factories are under siege yet again. This is surely GG. And mobility really is the absolute key to Terran versus Terran. Barracks had the mobility advantage, and if Classic had not lost those 2 dropships to turrets when both players were dropping in their respective mains, these SCVs trying to do what they can to bomb the tanks, not really succeeding there. Classic has used what few units he has left to try to harass this base. Things at 12 o'clock, I don't think Barracks will care. Classic surely will be GGing soon. He should probably GG sooner rather than later to avoid embarrassing himself. These tanks not really even bothering to siege up here. I mean, 2 of the factories already destroyed. They weren't even lifted. This is over at this point. Barracks is safely mining off of 3 bases, although he should probably... Oh, 4 bases it looks like, but his main and natural will probably be empty soon enough. That Wraith is actually kind of irritating, and I think those things got blown up by a tank there. Classic, but a Wraith coming out here from Barracks to deal with this. I mean, it looks like Classic might be able to hold out for a bit longer, but... And he might just want to build a few Wraiths that go out in style or something. But, he's put down more starports. He's doubling down the Wraith strategy. That's not going to work. Barracks bringing lots more tanks. He doesn't even appear to care about the Wraith. Rather silly there by Barracks, I have to say, suiciding his Wraith in the turret there. However, I don't think he cares. He just has too many units. He's got a Goliath there to take care of the Wraith. Yeah, Classic would be wise to GG sooner rather than later. I just want to emphasize again how important mobility was, and if Classic had not lost his 2 dropships when he was elevating his units, GG coming from Classic, who knows how this game may have turned out. Classic not looking pleased with himself, Barracks looking exceedingly pleased, triumphing over this guy 2-1, that's actually pretty good. So, you know, dropships, key to TVT as always, or not always, but quite often the key to TVT. Anyway, going on to